Hey, Pretty Girl Club. So I just got back from my walk and I forgot to record this video. So this is another story of this incel who tied up. Not only did he purposely block my car, like in a T shape, like literally blocking it, but he also tied up the electric pump thing. So you know how Teslas, they have to be charged electrically or whatever. So this guy wraps the entire thing around my car on purpose. So he literally touched my property and then he did it so that my car door wouldn't open. And he did this on purpose. Okay, sorry. Let me get to the story. You guys know that I do live in like a really nice luxury apartment and whatever, no big deal. So there is this one guy that's always there. So he is of Indian descent. He is of like black and Indian descent. So I don't know what you consider that to be, but he had a Tesla. First of all, why the fuck are you living in an apartment with a Tesla? If I could afford a Tesla, I would not be living in any sort of apartment. I would have my own property. Maybe I would have, or if I was living in an apartment, I would have like 250K in REITs or some sort of other investments or like, so that's already red flag number one is the fact that you are living in a luxury apartment building, but then you want to drive this super expensive Tesla, but whatever, not a big deal. So I had always seen this guy around the apartment because he has a stupid ass dog. And by the way, no shade if you have a dog. I love animals. Yay, shout out to dogs. Arf, arf. But I have a psychological theory on guys with dogs. I just feel like, first of all, let's be honest here. We already know that most men can't even take care of themselves physically. Their hygiene is bad, and they certainly can't take care of themselves emotionally in a lot of cases. So, you expect me to believe that a guy with a dog that dog is going to be well kept and nurtured? No, most of the time guys who have dogs, he's a dusty guy with the dog, and then the dog is also dusty, probably has fleas, it's all mentally fucked up, it tries to attack people and shit, it barks every 5 seconds even though the dog is only like 6 inches long, it tries to jump on people. So there are a lot of these incel guys that have lived in my apartment building. And there are these guys that have these crazy ass dogs. Like I've had a guy, one time, this black guy, he was walking past me in my building and his dog randomly just tries to jump on me. And this guy, he doesn't even try to get the leash, like, oh, let me try to pull the dog back or something. No, he lets his big, dirty ass dog with stanky breath just jump on my body, and then he's like, oh, sorry. And I just feel like a lot of guys who have dogs, they get the dog not because they actually want to care for the dog. I feel like a lot of guys, they only get dogs because they want it to be a girl magnet. Like I could tell that the other guy, where he let his stupid ass dog jump on me, he wanted me to be like, oh my God, oh, it's no problem. Oh, he's so cute. Oh, what kind of dog is this? No, I wasn't going to do that because I don't care. And also, who tries to hit on girls in their apartment? Or like, why would you try to talk to someone in your apartment? Oh, that's another thing. I forgot to tell my story about when I got sexually harassed in my building. Okay, anyway, but I'm not moving because this building is too nice. I can't. I'm not leaving. But anyway, so I already have a theory about guys that have dogs. So this guy, I call him the Tesla guy. He happens to have a dog, so I already knew from seeing him all the time. I was like, oh yeah, ew, like red flag. That's weird that a guy is always walking around with this little dog. That guy was always he was a normal guy. He was just always at the dog park in my little neighborhood thing. So basically, the way that I kind of knew of this guy or I had seen him around is because I would sometimes go out in the evenings because I'd be like going out to play tennis or something. So I would have on my cute little matching tennis outfit. You know how they have the skirts with like the bra top. So I would see this guy at the dog park in the evenings when I would come downstairs so that I could head over to the tennis court. So I never thought anything of that guy. I didn't know that he was a psychotic, crazy person. Well, actually, I kind of did, just to be honest, because he had a little dog. So I was like, oh, I already know. Yep, these guys are crazy. But I didn't think anything of it. I thought, this is just another one of my neighbors. And so at my building can be an asshole sometimes. Like sometimes the people who work at my building can be assholes because I feel like sometimes the workers, I don't want to say they're jealous. I'm not trying to accuse everyone of being jealous, but I sometimes do feel like the people who work in my building can be rude to the people who live here because they're assuming, oh, you guys think you're better type of thing. And I'm not saying that they automatically are doing that, but for example, just the other day, just today, when I just got back from my walk, I literally walked in and there was a sign, like they posted it in the leasing area. They were like, we are not your personal butlers. Do not treat us, do not treat the staff with disrespect, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I've never treated the staff with disrespect. I mean, I'm sure other people in the building might have. I mean, if they did, that's really bad. But at this particular building, the people who have worked here, sometimes they have had attitudes because I feel like sometimes maybe they're dealing with a lot of people who, we're paying money to live here. So it's like, yeah, if we're paying all this money to live in this particular neighborhood, in this particular building, we want the service to like be good. But I feel like sometimes the staff here, maybe they can get frustrated because it's probably a lower paying job, or, it's not that high paying, and then it's very demanding. So I get it. So not a big deal. So there's this girl that works at the concierge area, and I've seen her get an attitude with some people before, but I had never thought that like she would have an attitude with me or anything. But one thing I noticed about my building is when it comes to the parking area, there are not enough spots like in the private parking garage. So the garage has multiple floors, but because a lot of people have visitors here and stuff in this area, then sometimes the parking lot gets full. And so I've noticed that in the residence parking lot, they have electric charging stations and stuff like that. They have like quite a few of them. And the regular cars, they park in the electric stations all the time because there's no other parking. And so technically, I was wrong in my parking. Okay. So I did end up parking in an electric charging station, but I only parked there because number one, all of the other normal cars were also parked in the electric charging station, and they park there all the time. And also, number two, there were not enough spaces in the garage, like in the residence garage. And some people, they don't want to park in the visitor's garage because it's like, why should we park in the visitor's garage if we are paying the amenity fee to park in the residence garage? And so sometimes, like, visitors would park in the residence garage, or like every single day, normal cars would park in the handicap spots. Normal cars would park in like the electric charging spaces, or just in all these other random places. And so I didn't think anything of it. So I was like, this one time, I had only parked there for a few minutes because I just got back from work and I was going to go upstairs really quick and just change into my tennis outfit and literally get out of that spot anyway. And so apparently that must have pissed off Mr. Incel, who has the freaking chihuahua that he's always he has a raggedy ass chihuahua where the hair is all scraggly and shit. So this raggedy chihuahua Tesla guy, apparently I must have pissed him off because when I came back downstairs, I literally was floored. So I came back downstairs about 20 minutes later, having no idea what happened. And I looked, this psycho, not only did he block, so he literally parks his Tesla right behind my car. So I have like a truck. Well, it's not a truck. It's like a Range Rover. I'm not going to say the exact car, but I have a car that's like that, like a Range Rover type of car. And this guy, he parks his Tesla directly behind my Range Rover in a T shape. So that's illegal. You cannot, like, how when you park in a parking lot, you back out and stuff. So he's parking and not only blocking me from being able to get out, but he's directly blocking the rest of the cars in the parking lot. So he did it so that he could literally draw attention to everyone, and then have everybody who's coming out of the parking garage all be blocked off because he's mad that I parked in the electric vehicle spot. And by the way, there are plenty of other electric vehicle spots. My car was not the only regular car that was parked in an electric vehicle spot. He just decided to single out my car in particular. So not only does this guy block my car in a T shape, and he's also blocking other cars from like potentially being able to get out, but there was the electric charging station right there. And you know how they have the really long cords where like you can charge your car? This guy is such a psycho to where he wraps the entire electric charging cord around my car. So that means that he had to touch my property. So he wraps his thing around my car and he basically ties it in so that I cannot get into my car door when I come back downstairs. So it was like tied directly around the door to where if I try to open the door, it's going to be blocked because he wraps it around. He figures out a way. First of all, how do you even figure out a way to wrap it around my car to where I can't get in the car door? So you had to literally be like waiting there or like lurking. How do you even have the time to wrap it around my whole entire car? And then he was able to wrap it around his car as well. And he was able to get the thing into his car to charge his little Tesla. And so I came down there and I was so shocked. I almost took a picture. I really wish I would have taken a picture of it, but I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is so extreme. Like, who does this? And I remember I tried to get in my car, like I tried to open the door, and I could open my door about 1 inch, but I could not fit to like get in my car. And Teslas have cameras in them. So I feel like he was probably doing this so he could try to like watch from the camera or like get some sort of ping or something and then like come out and like surprise me or something and be like, oh, bitch, you parked in the electric charging spot. Even though, like I said, there were literally 5 to 6 other regular cars that were also parked in electric vehicle spots. And the only reason that I parked there was because I was changing and I was about to come back. So I don't know if he didn't know I was going to come back that fast. I don't know if he did know my schedule. So I could only open my door like 1 inch. And I feel like this Tesla guy was trying to set me up. Like he wanted me to come next to his car and take it out of the electric charger so that I could unhook my car. But I was not dumb enough to do that. I don't want to go and like touch other people's property or like, yeah, I'm not stupid. So I immediately walked out of the garage and then I walked into the front building office thingy. And I talked to the concierge lady and I was like, hey, there's a guy like blocking my car and he's literally blocking it in the spot. And then she was like, oh, are you the one that drives the white Range Rover with the license plate, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, oh, yeah, he told me that he's been watching you and that you've always been parking in illegal spots, like parking in the handicap, parking in the electric vehicle. Not only was that false, but also, why the fuck is somebody watching my car in particular? So she tells me that he says that he's been watching me and that basically I come there around 6:30ish. I always get there around 6ish, and then I just park in these electric vehicle parking spots. And that was false. And then she was like, oh, yeah, you're not supposed to park there. And I was like, okay, well, the only reason I'm parking there is because all of the spots are full and like all the other cars are also having to park there as well because, we're paying to be in this parking garage. And then the spots that we paid for are not available because visitors are actually coming into this garage and then they're parking there. So that's the only reason that myself and all of the other cars that are currently parked illegally, all of those cars are also parked there as well. So like, did you call on them or like, is it just me? And then she was like, oh yeah, no, we've been trying to figure out, and I knew she was lying because she was like, we've been trying to figure out who you were or like what apartment you lived in for a long time so we could notify you. Yeah, so we've been trying to contact you and say that you can't park in the electric vehicle spot. And I was like, that's a lie. I didn't say that's a lie, but I was like, no, that's not true because number one, my car, it's listed in my apartment thing. Like when you sign up for the apartment, when you sign the lease, you get your mailbox key, you get access to the parking garage, and they already have all of my information. So that's how I knew that this concierge lady, she was either BSing or she was mixing me up with someone else because how would you, as a person working there, how would you not know whose car belongs in the residence garage and whose car does not? Like, no, I remember telling them my license plate number and everything. And I even have the sticker so that I could like get into the garage and all that. So that was a lie. When she's like, oh, we've been trying to figure out who you were and like we just couldn't figure it out and now you just got caught. Like, no, that was false. And she was like, yeah, so you're not allowed to park there. And I'm like, okay, well, I would love to move out of the parking spot, but now I can't because this guy with the blue Tesla is literally blocking my car in a T shape. And then she was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just call him. And I'm like, yeah, can you call him right now so that he can come down and move his car? Because otherwise I cannot get out of the spot. So you can call a tow truck. Basically, she was trying to threaten like, oh, we're going to be towing people and shit. And I was like, that's wonderful. I would love for you to call a tow truck and I will call the police as well because I would love for them to see this guy and how he wrapped up my car, which is that's illegal. You can't just wrap people's car up and then park illegally. So if the tow truck comes, then guess what? The police will also be coming as well. And then I would love to file a report on this guy who is trying to basically be an a-hole or get some sort of revenge on me specifically because I happened to park in the electric vehicle spot today and he happened to need to charge his car today. So she ends up calling the guy and she was like, oh, hey, did you park here and like block her? If so, can you move her car? And then he was like, yeah, I'll come move the car. So I go back to the parking garage. I end up figuring out how to squeeze my way into the car after only being able to open it like 1 inch because this idiot has literally tied up my car, which I didn't even know was possible. I didn't even know the cords were that long. So I don't know if those cords were extra long or something, but I end up being able to get in my car and I started my car and I was just like waiting for him to get out. And then he comes and he like has to unwrap my car. So I don't know if he was expecting me to be there in the car. I don't know if he was surprised that I was able to still fit and like still get into the car. So basically he did not successfully like tie me out of the car. So I remember he kind of looked embarrassed like, oh shit, like I just got caught. And then he's just like, you can't park here. You can't park here. You're not supposed to park here. And he starts acting insane, like literally upset only because of my car. So remember, there are like 5 or 6 other electric vehicle spots directly next to mine. There are 5 or 6 other cars. So he could have yelled. Why didn't he yell at the people that were right there? So why didn't he yell at the other cars that were parked there? Like, why didn't he yell at them? Why didn't he report them? Why was my only car the one where he came in and lied to the person and tried to make it like I'm always parking in all of these extra spots? And don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not saying that I had never also like maybe parked in another spot for a few minutes, but the only way that you would know that, it was so rare for me to do that, to where the only way you would know that is if you are literally watching me from the dog park. If you're literally watching me and like stalking me is the only way that you would know that. So I remember I like called my boyfriend. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy, he tied up my car. And I was like telling the whole story. And he was like, oh yeah, those types of guys, they're like the really angry ones. And this is proof that pretty girls have to take extra measures to protect themselves, because I really do feel like these angry guys or these incel guys or people who have nothing to lose, or like in this guy's case, I feel like this guy was just mad because he couldn't get a girlfriend or something because, you know, he had a Tesla. He thought that him having a Tesla and living in the same building that I lived in, I don't know if he thought that that would get him a girlfriend or something. And maybe he was just depressed because, you know, he couldn't get anybody's attention. So maybe that's why he singled me out specifically instead of all of the other cars. But I'm like, if this was a way for this guy to try to get attention or something, because he was like around my age, I'm like, if this was some sort of ploy for attention, this guy is psychotic, because that's not a good way to get attention. Why did he only single out me out of like the 6 or 8 other cars? They have multiple spots for electric vehicles that other regular cars parked in all the time. I had only parked there for a few minutes. And the only time that I had ever done that was literally just if I needed to change really quick and I was about to get out of it, basically. So it's like, why is it that out of all of the other cars, specifically the cars, the 5 or 6 cars that park every single day in an electric vehicle spot, because there are no other electric vehicles. He's pretty much the only one that has a Tesla. He was the only Tesla that I had ever seen in the residence lot. So nobody even parks in the electric vehicles thing. So why is it that you're randomly singling out my car? And then you were crazy enough to tie up my car, like because you wanted me to be shocked or something? Or is this because, like, why did you do that? And then blocking in my car in a T shape. So not only are you blocking other cars from backing out, because he was blocking about probably 6 cars. There were about 6 other cars that were parked there that wouldn't have been able to get out if they wanted to, because he was trying to block me. So you went through all of that drama to make a statement to a girl who doesn't even know your name, to someone that you literally see every day when you're at the dog park. And also, it's like, if it's that serious for you to charge up your Tesla, don't they have charging stations everywhere else? Like, why is it that suddenly the one day that I happened to go there so I could go upstairs to get my tennis stuff on and come back out with my little tennis outfit or whatever, why is it that that's the one day where you decide that you urgently need to charge your Tesla? Because I had seen that car parked in other spots like just parked in a non-electric vehicle spot. I had never seen any other cars tied up. I never saw anybody else's car with the door tied up and then they can't get into the door and shit. And then somebody's blocking them in a T shape. I had never seen that with any other cars. So why me? Why my car? And then why is it that the pick me concierge is also lying to me saying, oh, we've been trying to like figure out who you are? And like, it's like, okay, so what? Either he's asking you questions about me, or either he's trying to figure out who I am, or she just made that up because the apartment knows who I am. The apartment knows that I live here. They know my license plate number. They know that I have a code and a sticker to get into the parking lot. So what do you mean? Which one is it? And why am I being singled out in front of all the other cars? And then you're willing to block 6 people just so you could specifically block me. And then you want to tie me up. And I'm smart enough to know that a Tesla has a camera in it. So what? Are you trying to like watch me on your camera or something? Are you trying to like set me up because you want me to like uncharge your car or unplug your car so you can be like, oh, this girl, she unplugged my car? Like, what's the point? If somebody wanted to report me, they could have just sent an email. Like, if I report people in my building, I'll send an email. I'll say, hey, that somebody left dog poop in the hallway or whatever, whatever is bad that's happening, or if somebody's trying to have a party at the pool or something. It's so funny because at another building that I was in, someone had a party at the pool. So not at my building, but at my friend's building. Someone had a party at their pool and they hired a professional DJ. So they had a whole professional DJ and they didn't have permission. Like, obviously, you can't do that. You can't, if you live in an apartment where it's like a shared pool, you can't hire a professional DJ and have a party with like 50 people. Usually they have like, you have to rent a room or something. But if you want to report someone at your building, you just send an email. You don't tie cars up and like park in a T shape and then start yelling and shit. That's extreme. Am I delusional or is this angry incel behavior? Anyway, this is just another reason why pretty girls need to protect themselves at all costs. That guy is actually lucky that I did not call the police on him because normally I will call the police if I feel like unsafe. But yeah, so that's what happened. And that's not the first time that something has happened with my car. But what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.